All right, let's jump right in. There's this new survey coming out of Europe, and it's painting a picture of some serious and growing anxiety. And you know who it's all about? The President of the United States. So today, we're going to dig into why that is. So when folks in Europe look across the Atlantic at the US president, they're asking themselves a pretty fundamental question. Is this person an ally or an enemy? And let me tell you, the answer coming back from this new survey is, well, it's pretty staggering. Get this, 48%. We're talking nearly half of all the Europeans surveyed across 9 different countries. They see the US president as an enemy. I mean, think about that. For what's supposed to be the world's strongest alliance, that is a jaw-dropping number. So let's break this down and figure out where this is all coming from. Okay, so this isn't just a hunch. It's all laid out in a really shocking new survey. We're talking about a deep-seated distrust that's spreading across 9 European countries. Let's dive right into the numbers. And you know that 48% figure? That's just the average. When you zoom in on some of Europe's core nations, the numbers get even more intense. We're talking 62% in Belgium, 57% in France, even in Germany, it's 46%. So yeah, the exact number might vary from place to place, but the overall pattern, it's crystal clear. And this isn't a static thing either. The sentiment is actually getting worse over time. The number of Europeans who are kind of on the fence, calling the president neutral, well, that number is shrinking. At the same time, the group of people who see him as hostile is on the rise. So it really begs the question, right? What is driving this pretty dramatic shift? Well, it turns out this distrust doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It's being fueled by a really potent combination of fears. You have to understand, right now, Europe is a continent completely on edge. Yeah, one analyst put it perfectly. They said Europe is, and I'm quoting here, unsettled by a combination of political shocks arriving at the same time. It's like a perfect storm of crises, all hitting at once, and it's creating this profound sense of instability. So what are these shocks? Well, it really boils down to this trio of anxieties. First, you've got a war literally on your doorstep. The conflict in Ukraine is this constant, brutal reminder of just how vulnerable they are. Second, there's this growing fear of a peace plan that they have no say in, a deal they can't shape. It makes them feel like spectators in their own security drama. And the third piece, the one that ties it all together, a US president they just do not trust. All of this has created what you could call a state of heightened insecurity. I mean, the war in Ukraine has completely redrawn Europe's defense map. The risk of a much bigger conflict feels scarily real, and a lot of people are seriously doubting if they can handle it alone. It's a kind of vulnerability, a feeling of being exposed, that honestly hasn't been felt since the Cold War. And you can really feel this insecurity in the public mood. People feel like the threat from Moscow is real, it's persistent, and it's not going away. There's this gnawing fear that individual countries just can't defend themselves on their own anymore. And because of that, you're seeing more and more people looking to the European Union, hoping it can step up and take on a much bigger role in protecting them. Okay, so that leads us to the second huge source of anxiety, this feeling of being left on the sidelines, especially when it comes to a potential peace deal for Ukraine. And listen, this isn't just some abstract worry. There are reports flying around about the US president's envoys meeting with Ukrainian officials and then meeting with Vladimir Putin, all while Europe is just watching from the sidelines. So from their point of view, it feels like the future of their entire continent is being decided in rooms they're not even invited into. So what's the core fear here? It's what analysts are calling an uncomfortable settlement. Basically, a deal that's hammered out just between Washington and Moscow, one that could leave Europe in an even more dangerous, more precarious position than before. So what would a deal like that actually look like? Well, for one, it could mean Russia gets to keep the Ukrainian territory it seized. That would basically reward aggression and, in the long run, seriously weaken Europe's overall security. Not a good outcome. So when you put all these pieces together, you start to see that this is about so much more than just one leader. It points to a much deeper distrust, one that's really rooted in this profound sense of a continent's vulnerability. And this is a really fascinating contrast to look at. In the United States, when you look at the president's low approval ratings, it's often tied to domestic stuff, rising living costs. But in Europe, the reasons are completely geopolitical. He's not just seen as an unpopular leader. He's seen as a potential risk, not a partner, but a risk. So at the end of the day, this survey isn't just a poll. It's not just a bunch of numbers. It's a snapshot of a continent that feels exposed, uncertain, and deeply worried about its greatest ally. They're left wondering if the big decisions being made in Washington are going to help keep them safe, or just leave them even more vulnerable. Which really leaves us with a massive question for the future, doesn't it? Is what we're seeing just a temporary rift between old friends, or is this a permanent crack in the very foundation of the Western alliance? I guess only time will tell. Thanks for sticking with us for this explainer.